Good morning. This morning we have Ask an Expert with Melissa Tandy. Melissa Tandy brings her background of project manager of special education guidance, which is a collaborative position support by the Iowa Department of Education and the Iowa Area Education Agencies. In this position, Melissa provides special education support and guidance to the Iowa Department of Education staff, AEA leaders and staff, district administrators and staff, parents and families, and various partner agencies statewide. Prior to Melissa doing this work, she served as a regional administrator at Central River AEA, a special education facilitator at Grant Wood AEA, and before moving into her work with the AEAs, Melissa was a special education consultant at Grant Wood AEA and also a special education teacher for 17 years in several districts in Iowa. So Melissa brings a strong background in the area of special education, collaboration with families. So Melissa, thank you for joining us this morning. And I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about I3 and give us some tips and strategies for using the I3 site. So thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Deb, and thank you everyone for participating in this webinar. And I'd really like to thank Ask for inviting me and helping us get the word out about the Iowa IDA information, otherwise known as I3 website, that was launched in the summer of 2020, and just the ongoing partnership and collaboration that's part of it. I'm not sure if I would consider myself an expert. I just have a lot of experience and a lot of passion to make sure that everyone has good quality information to do what's best for kids of all ages across the state. A little background about why and how we've gotten to I3. The idea was formed years ago, and in the last 3 years, we've been able to take the idea and make it a reality. So what it is, there's a big push to move forward with a more consistent and common and comprehensive set of procedures, resources, and guidance for everyone. The Department of Ed and the area education associations and the school districts have all finally come together to agree on one set of procedures and practices. We're still working on that implementation and that consistency, but we're much closer than we were even a year ago at this time, which is exciting for everybody to just maybe think of that one stop instead of, oh, I should look at the DE, or I should look at the AEA, or I wonder what this district's going to do. So we are really moving forward with more consistent and common practices. And the idea of making it into a website was really to increase that accessibility for all users. And when I say all, I mean not only teachers and principals and Department of Education and AEA consultants and reps, but also families and community partners and referral sources. We really wanted it something that was available to anybody, anywhere, anytime that they needed information, and that everybody's getting the same information as we go. And the beauty of a website is no longer do we have to wait until once a year to update a 600-page PDF and send it out to everybody. So that advantage is amazing, and we're already taking advantage of that to get some real-time updates in there when we need them. So I'm going to share my screen for 1 second, and then we'll come back to this. So as you can see, I3 is a website in and of itself. And one of the other exciting things is we finally have one place where we have information for learners that are birth to 21 or upon graduation. Previously, these were found in 2 different places, actually probably in hundreds of different places, but we tried to put them all together and try to bridge for families and for professionals that all the information's there, and you can help identify which one it is. So, and again, the intended audience is just about anybody that wants information. And so we've really tried to think about that with the information that's in there. Some information is still pretty heavy and deep in terms of ensuring that our educators and evaluators know the depth of information they need, but also that it's out there for anybody who wants to see it and read it, and it's more accessible than it was previously. One example that I think of is around evaluations. Previously, that information was, 100 pages in a manual. Well, we put it on a website and it's pretty deep, but we also have put together some tools to help parents and families and professionals understand it and explain it a little bit better. So, and ultimately the information that's in this I3 Achieve system will also connect very seamlessly on the backside with the new IEP and IFSP system called Achieve that will be launched hopefully in the beginning of the 21-22 school year. So what I wanted to do is take a few minutes now to show you what you might find or want to look at in I3 as you're looking for information to answer questions or prepare for different things, meetings that are coming up, or you've heard a teacher say something and you're just not sure what it is. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And so the I3 site, we've tried very hard to keep it as organized and as easy to navigate as possible. And we've done a lot of things very intentionally to help. So if you should happen to call and need some help, you can get a certain page or you could get the whole website. And we've tried to put in other cues and strategies throughout. So if you would go to the homepage, which is iowaidainformation.org, and if you search that, it is coming closer to the top on Google searches. Sometimes it still catches in a former site that we had here in the state, but it's getting closer. So if you're in the site, one thing you should always remember is the icon up here in the top corner will take you right back to the homepage anytime you need to go. So that's pretty helpful. If you've noticed, we also have added some COVID resources, and those, I'm guessing, as we continue to move through these unusual times, we'll add more. And those are designed primarily for educators for us to communicate, but there's also tools in there that would help parents. There's some key links up here to help teachers and AEA staff write IEPs and get to the system where they're going to do that. But what I wanted to show you as a parent, as parents and family members looking for information, is there's always the option up here across the top. You can click down and start looking into special education if your child's 3 to 21. If there's an IEP meeting, you can go to that section. Or if you're wondering what your procedural safeguards are there, there's a section strictly on resources that I'll come back to in a second. And then we're also have the convenience of communicating clearly when we do make site updates. The magnifying glass, which is universal for search. So we'll show you some of those in just a little bit, but I just wanted to give you an overview. So on the home screen, again, you could use those top, or you can also look down as you scroll down. We talk about birth to 3 to start with, and you can click into, again, you want to know about IFSPs, you can click here is another option. And then just scroll a little bit further, we have a bar that talks about special education services for kiddos 3 to 21 or through graduation, depending on the unique learner. And again, you could click here, or you could have done it above. And then there's a way to get to resources here. A couple of other key aspects of the homepage that we're pretty thankful that are available to users is there's always a way to contact us. And if you want to contact someone or you're just not even really sure, there's an option to hit the contact us. And within there, it'll, upon your zip code, you don't have to look up your AEA if you already know it, that's easy. But you can also put in your name, your email, which AEA, the age group, and you can send a message and that'll go directly to the AEA and they'll forward your message on to the right person that you need. So again, I'm going to navigate quickly back to the home page by using the icon in the corner. And then I did want to show you at the very bottom of the page, so I'm going to scroll quickly. I apologize for that. There is the option for translations. So if any content that's on here can be translated. Contact us is down there, the site updates. And one of the other things that I really wanted to point out to you is down here in the bottom, there's tutorial videos, which would be very helpful if you're wanting to learn more about the site and different information. So if you're looking to learn more about resources, there's videos. Each one of these videos is less than 5 minutes and it walks you through the screen and what you might see and how to find information. So we have several that are in the on the list to be developed based on feedback from staff. So here at the end of November, early December, we'll be adding more of those in there. So I'm going to, again, go back to the homepage. And again, if you're looking for resources, you can go here, or you could go to Discover Resources. We wanted this button up close so that if you wanted to find those, you could get them. We have lots of resources on the Special Education Early Intervention page. I wanted to point out a few key things when you're looking for information. You can always search and put in the word that you want, or if you just want to see what's available. We have designed this search to help the user find what they may need, and there's a couple of different features to it. One, it's categorized by resources typically primarily used by educators, ones for parents and families, and then Department of Education documents. Anyone can select any one of these documents, but we just tried to kind of organize them by primary audience groups and then within categories there. We've also added an option that you can filter down. So if you know you're only looking for resources because your child is 2, you could click on just the circle and it eliminates some of the resources and it takes you to only ones that are available or related to children birth to 3. If you want to take the filter off, you just click on it again and you go from there. So within the parent and family resources, we've also tried to help parents and families realize which resources are Ask Resource documents that they have shared with us, and it takes you to their site. But these are the ones that they've found are commonly used by parents and wanted us to make sure that we included. And we're very lucky to have them because they're wonderful resources. And then there's also resources that indicate they have the FEP after it, which is Family Educator Partnership. And these are also designed to support parents and families. For example, parent information for an initial IEP meeting. If a user would click on that, it takes them to just a document. This is a 2-page document about what to expect at an initial IEP meeting. So we've tried to prioritize the resources that are most helpful based on information and input from various audiences. So I'm going to click back to the resources page, and I am going to go over here to search. One thing that we hear, and one example that we've commonly get questions about and ask also reports getting lots of questions, is evaluations. So I'm going to try to make my screen a little bit bigger so you can see a little bit more. I'm going to go to the search bar, the search icon up here, and I'm going to type in the word evaluation, whether it's a re-eval or initial evaluation. So we have designed it so that once you start typing, if you give it a little bit of a chance, it will start guessing what you want to be searching for. And so if you give it a chance, it will take us to evaluations, and you can click right on there. So this one was around special education evaluations. As you can see, there's the side navigation bar over here that tells you the types of evaluations. Then we are working hard to put in resources specifically for parents. So if it was initial evaluation, you can go straight to the evaluation process that the team is going to do when they start the evaluation. Or you can also click on the parent guide, which takes you to a nice handout that explains that process. And the same thing is true for re-evals. We're continuing to work on these and get them in place. So as they come along, we've tried to flag them in the easiest way for parents to find them. So just to give you another idea of something that you might want to search is prior written notices. We get a lot of questions regarding what's a prior written notice? When do I need a prior written notice? What might it have on it? So again, if you type that in, it gives you suggestions, and then it will take you to that page. As you'll notice, there was 2 options for prior written notice, and this one I selected took us to the IFSP team. So for those kiddos that are 0 to 3. We're working on adding some tags on those searches so that you'll know whether you're getting the birth to 3 information or the 3 to 21. Those should be added here in the next week. We had to get some programming time to get those in. So again, this system is evolving as we go, and we're trying to continue to build and add and enhance it as we go. So one of the other examples or the things that we found are exciting about this, I'll go to initial evaluations. I guess it took me back to that page, so we'll just go from there. One thing that's very convenient and I know some of the ASK staff have used it, and I know educators have started using it, is maybe even just sharing, maybe not the whole site, but you can share individual pages. Or if you have a question about something and somebody is trying to help you, they may share a link to a page that goes to it, or you could share it with them and ask, I have some questions about that. Either way, we like to keep that communication going both directions and help users with that. One of the things that I did want to point out is when you are using it, if you have a question about the information or a suggestion, I think it would be great if we did this. There are several places that off to the side, there's an option to share your feedback. That just goes to the web administrator, and then we look at those to decide, okay, so what could we do about that, and reach back out and see what's happened. We've added and made some changes already based on that feedback. So please know that if you choose to do that, it will be read and you will receive feedback on what's happened. If it's a specific child situation or a procedure for a unique situation, it's always best to work with your learner's IEP team or IFSP team in the district and AEA. But if it's on the information or suggestions, or I can't find this, where is it, or why isn't it there? You're always welcome to use the feedback and know that it is reviewed regularly. So with that said, the last thing that I did want to make sure and share is that we are trying, again, to keep things updated. So we're using, up here in this top corner is a title called Site Updates. And we are very much appreciating this new addition to our practice as educational professionals and our partners as well. As you can see, child health specialty clinics do a lot of work with children birth to 3, and they had released some key documents that they needed out to the field back in early September. So we're able to put a notice out here on the site and say, hey, here it is, click on it. And when you click on it, it provides you with information about what's been changed and exactly how to get to those things. And depending on what you want to do, if you want to see what's all been happening, or you want to just search by a category, you can do that. You want to know what videos are out there, you can click on videos and it'll take you there. So we're pretty excited about all the options that are available within it and the potential this has to continue to grow and evolve so we can all be on the same page to support the best educational planning for kids as they move forward. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Deb, I'm going to check in with you to see if there's any questions that have been added or things that you and Alicia may want to ask.
This was an excellent overview of the system, and I'm happy that we're going to be able to share this out with our family members. So your little updates really were very helpful. So thank you. Alicia, one of our family support specialists, asked the question, what resources are available for a family that has not yet received special education services? And then how might families be introduced to I3 when their child begins the process for special education eligibility? So those are two different questions, but yet combined, how are we operationalizing or helping families? How are districts, schools, and AEAs supporting families as they journey into this next step for their child?
Excellent questions. I'm going to actually tackle the second one first. I get the opportunity, just due to the nature of my position, to work with both the Department of Ed and all 9 of the AEAs and a lot of the staff throughout the state. And so we're working really hard to put together resources, materials that AEAs and districts can share with families, either for their children who are already identified as eligible individuals or who are just starting the process. We have supported teachers and AEA staff with sample email information. We put together some flyers and tutorials that could be shared with parents. Just quick, again, we're trying to keep everything down to a small amount of time because everyone's time is precious these days and that they can access at any time. So we're asking educational staff and leaders across the state to be sharing out either or modeling for parents how to access and use I3, sharing the website with them, incorporating it into their promotional materials and information that they would share at the point of an IEP meeting or seeking consent to start in the process of potentially becoming eligible. And then as far as resources for parents as they're diving into the process, I'm going to take a look. Deb, there's so many resources that sometimes I myself get a little bit confused as to what's all in there. So I'm going to share my screen. And I think one of the resources that I think would be helpful to parents if they are looking for understanding more about what to expect from special education, I think one of the key tools that I think might be helpful is the document created by the Family Educator Partners on the Special Education Guide for parents. And again, that's primarily for kiddos that are 3 to 21. I do know that there's a lot of information available for early access, which is the birth to 3, and we have some of their materials posted too. So here's a handbook. I have to tell you, every time I see this flyer, it makes me smile because I know this sweet girl and she's a lot older than that now. So that always makes me smile when I see her. But again, this is just a handout that explains what Child Find is, how does it get started, what comes next, and just walks parents and family through those steps that will be coming along. Again, that's a great question and a reminder of other tools and resources that we may need to consider.
And that would apply to all AEAs, all school districts as they navigate with families, correct? That
Absolutely.
guide. So it's, for lack of a better term, it's generic and should fit those questions that whether you're in Davenport or Council Bluffs, the questions could be answered.
Yes, it should. I will say we are working and have made strides in the last couple of years to work towards more consistent information, messaging, and practicing. It's a work in progress and we're getting there, but the more consistent we can make the tools, and that's why we even intentionally selected the resources that are available in I3 because they are the ones that are statewide and universal to be used by everyone.
This is Alicia, and I just wanted to say thank you for answering that question. I do think that sometimes families in that beginning process and determining whether or not their child is eligible, it's a confusing process at times and overwhelming at that point in their journey. And so I appreciate you speaking to the Child Find document and sharing a little bit about how teams are going to be sharing out with families, because I imagine that will be a powerful way to connect them to I3 so that they know that it's a resource for them. So thank you for the work you've done to provide those trainings and materials to get the word out.
Yeah, and Alicia, that just highlighted one other I remembered when I talked to, we were preparing for this. One of the other tools that I think is helpful as parents get into the process or have been in the process for a while and just want maybe a refresher is we had prioritized, and the data would support that it is being used quite a bit. I'll share my screen here in just one second. Is around IEP team members. Again, I was searching IEP team members. So, and this is true for both IFSPs for children 0 to 3, as well as 3 to 21. We've worked really hard to think about what are the IEP team roles and responsibilities so that everybody knows what their role and what their responsibility is in the process of an IEP team meeting, as well as throughout the year. So we've put together information. And as you can see, if you're a parent, you can click on the plus button and it explains the role of the parent. And please keep in mind when we use the word parent in this page and in different places, we tend to look at the word parent in terms of how federal IDA has explained parent. However, it really is, we recognize that parent can be a variety of different roles and individuals, and parent really is synonymous with families. So we just use the word parent here because that's a required team member. So we've talked about what the roles of a parent are and those parent responsibilities and things that they could do before the meeting and what we hope they may do during the meeting, or what to share as well. But then, as you can see, the link goes on. There's quite a bit of information in there and who can fill the role of a parent. We've tried to put that information in there to help parents understand and families understand, but also for educators to understand that it can be a variety of people that fill that role. I have seen, I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the page, but again, this is one of those resources that has been put together that if you want just that one page handout of what are the roles and responsibilities of everybody that's going to be at the table at an IEP meeting, or whether it's virtual or in person anymore, it looks different these days. But again, these are just different resources that we hope will help everyone understand what to expect and maybe be a quick tool to help them move forward and partner and collaborate to ensure the best planning, conversation, communication, and ongoing progress for learners.
Great. And I also want to say thank you for sharing the area around feedback, because as families navigate this, you'll have a family lens. And if there's a better way to tweak it, I mean, why wouldn't we? So thank you for making sure that that's available to everyone that touches the system. So I think that's a great tool. And if family members have ideas, I'm sure you all want to hear them. Let's make it better and work smarter, not harder, of course. So
absolutely. It's interesting and always helpful to read those comments. We've gotten them from a variety of sources, and it's made some changes already and helped us see things that were missing or a need that wasn't there, so we can start the work to create things.
Great. Well, we continue to appreciate the partnership so that we can help families better navigate the system and have our family support folks be able to guide them in the right way. So this has been very helpful, and we look forward to continuing to learn and grow from you guys as you change the system. So thank you again, Melissa, for spending time with us as our Ask an Expert around I3.
Thank you.